Company in San Ramon. So glad you're with us. You're listening to all six hosts, 95.7 The Game, Steiny and Goo, Bonta and Joe, Willard and Dibs, and all of you. Thank you so much because you just mentioned those first four games. And, Joe, you mentioned the Giants, the home opener, which you think might be a little bit tougher than people
Kyle
think.
Harrison.
I think so.
Let's hop through this.
Isaiah Simmons.
The 49ers' first four. It's at Pittsburgh, and then it's at SoFi to take on the Rams. Thursday night opener against the New York Giants, and then home to the Arizona Cardinals. Steiny, what's their record at the end of four games?
I think they'll be 3-1, but because it sounds like they're really putting an emphasis on early in the season not to go 3-5 again to start a season. So, and they're going to be healthy, relatively speaking, outside Greenlaw. So, 3-1.
Where's the loss?
Don't make me sing again.
The loss will be Pittsburgh.
Okay. You say 2-2, Bonta. Pittsburgh and where?
I said I wouldn't be surprised if they were 2-2.
Okay, so what do you think they're going to be?
Well, Pittsburgh's an L. I've been telling y'all that since June when everybody said, oh, Kenny Pickett. Now he goes 13-15. Oh, you guys are going crazy for Kenny Pickett. So they'll lose to Pittsburgh. And I think that Giants game on Thursday night, I think they're going to spoil the home opener for the Niners. Wow. Something's weird about that game, man. Something's very weird. They got a really good defensive front. Short, weak, strong, play well against the run. Hufanga's injury, who's going to guard Darren Waller? Mobile quarterback in Daniel Jones. We all know the Niners struggle with mobile quarterbacks.
They haven't been stuffing the run in the preseason. Whatever you want to make of that. They were the number one run D last year.
I won't go about the preseason.
I'm just saying.
I won't go there.
I won't go there.
2-2. I got 2-2 for the Niners.
Yeah.
Joe, where are you at?
4-0.
Thank you, Joe.
Just to be the homer.
No.
4-0.
In the jersey, I got him at 4-0 too.
Yeah.
And he was just talking about me the other day being a total optimist, right? Huh? What did you say?
Pivot, don't panic, Bonta.
Right.
Pittsburgh is the toughest game, but they get by Pittsburgh, and I'm not scared of Danny Dimes on a short week. Yeah. It's the home opener. Levi's crowd on the Thursday night will be hyped. The Cardinals
if we get there on time.
The Cardinals are god-awful. I'm leaving after this. I'm going straight down there. The Cardinals are god-awful and miss me with the Rams. I got them at 4-0.
And I do, too. And I mean that.
4-0.
Because and I'm assuming Bosa is back. I heard you, Bonta. I'm assuming Bosa is back. But they know what time it is, man. Their heart got ripped out. They didn't even rip. That wasn't the NFC Championship game. I know they know this year we got to start fast, quick, and in a hurry. And the fact that the Steelers have become the darlings of the NFL is too fast. I think they're 4-0 headed into that host in Dallas.
Steiny, you know, Coon, when he says that, you know it's an automatic L.
Well, here's the thing.
I was cool when he said 3-1. I was cool when he said 3-1. Shasky Guru Dibs on the same page. That's not good, folks.
He has. It bothers me.
It does bother. You took a shot at me about Brady earlier.
You heard that,
Host on host crime.
but no, Willard, what's your answer? 4-0. I really believe it, man.
I'm actually going to say 3-1. I'm going to say 3-1.
Pittsburgh.
I'm going to say 3-1 with the acknowledgement that they're the better team in each of these cases, but that's not how the NFL works.
Yeah.
They lost
to Chicago.
They lost to Chicago. They lost in Atlanta last year.
Bonta was there.
Like there's stuff happens. If you go 3-1 in every 4-game set in the regular season, you're heading to the bowl. You know what I mean? Like that would be fantastic. That would be fantastic. Right. So I don't know if it's Pittsburgh. Quite frankly, I'm not worried about the Giants on Thursday night. I would be less surprised if they lost to the Rams, just because it's the second road game. The Rams are going to be back, and Stafford and Kupp and all that
game.
If they want to beat the Niners.
They need to change that narrative. So I'll say they go 1-1 after the first two road games, and then come home and get a couple of wins and end up 3-1. That's what I would say. But what do you guys think about what happens next? That's when things get very, very interesting on the schedule as you get to week 5.
Home to Dallas.
Here comes Dallas.
Man.
Okay, and then you've got back-to-back roadies to Cleveland and Minnesota, and what you've been calling a scheduled loss back home for Cincinnati.
On a short week.
That's 4 real teams now. That's 4 real teams. So especially if you've got them at, Bonta, if you've got them at 2-2 going into that, what do you have them coming out of that? Because nobody wants to see this team be 3-5 again, and then have to boogie in the second half of the season.
And then you're planning wild card games to the extra week. You may be on the road, no bye week. Oh yeah, there's something going on here. The roast is in the building, if you know what I mean. Rose is in the building, folks. Hide your kids.
Yeah, little
Hide
Snoop
your kids a
Dogg,
little
yeah.
bit.
Well, we're outside the building, so
What's
it's
the question
okay.
again? Willard, I'm sorry.
It's legal.
What's the question again?
The next four.
Next four.
The
I'm
next
sorry.
four.
Pass.
If they're 2-2 going into home to Dallas,
Right.
at Cleveland, at Minnesota, home to Cincinnati, then where are they when they
Oh
get to
my
the bye
gosh.
after 8 games?
Oh,
Mr.
man.
Predictor, Shasky, what do you think?
You're going to put them at 4-4?
I think they're going to be 5-3. 4-4 is possible.
Wow.
4-4 is possible. The Kirk Cousins Bowl could be something on Monday Night Football. Cincinnati with Burrow.
Where is that game?
In Minnesota.
Oh,
Monday Night Football.
Minnesota.
Yeah.
I got the Niners at 5-3. I go 5-3. I'll play it safe. But 4-4, ooh, I could see that happening.
What do you think?
I don't even know where I'm coaching next week, so I'm not going to go that far down. We
Thank
go
you,
into
Shanahan.
quadrants. We don't need to go down the entire schedule of when they're going to have losses. Like, you said they started what last year?
3-4. They were
Oh, and
yeah,
what were they the year
4-4.
before that?
3-5 the year
Oh,
before
and where'd
that.
they end up?
Right,
Okay.
but Joe, but
Okay.
nobody wants to give somebody the ball with 3 minutes to go in the fourth quarter of Week 17 and say we got to go get a touchdown in order to make
Look.
the playoffs. This team should not be in
Right.
the spot that team was in 2 years ago.
I mean, look, at the end of the day, like, we're probably all going to lose our minds if they lose Week 1 to Pittsburgh. But Week 1 is
course we will.
always a 2-week swing anyway. It always feels that way.
Right.
You lose, it feels like the sky is falling.
Right.
You win, you feel like you're never going to lose again. I don't know. Look, that's a tough schedule, no doubt about
That's
it.
a tough
If they're
schedule,
above
man.
500 after 8 weeks, they're right where they need to be. They're
Not
right
for
where they
home
need to be.
field advantage, though.
Well, home
Butch.
field
Home
advantage
field
should be out
advantage
the
is
window.
so hard. It's so
Right.
hard to get. Like, you got to have a magical
Well,
season now to get home field advantage.
I will say this, for those who look at what Purdy did at the end of last year, we were talking about it before we even got to Thanksgiving about the lack of travel that the 49ers had. Even their road games were so close.
Right.
They went to Vegas
Yeah.
and everything was, Seattle. And so that was a relatively rested and a team that got some luck, a schedule break, and they go on a run and win all the games. If they go into the bye this year at that 3-5 or 4-4, listen to what has to happen still in the second half of the year.
Man.
There's road trips to Jacksonville and Seattle and Philadelphia and Washington and home games against the Baltimore Ravens. Like,
Damn, man.
you are not going to get that break this year.
And those games are not back
That
to
is
back.
nasty.
There's no Greenbrier unless you want to go there between Cleveland and
wow.
Minnesota. You go.
Thank you, Phil Mickelson.
I like that.
I want to
That's
shout
with the
out
hall.
jump, and crisscross will make you because you're going to crisscross the country. You go to Jacksonville and back, Seattle, Philadelphia and back, and then you go to Washington and back. So it's not as easy, like Mark said, as last year where it was all tailor-made. Shout out the golf ball to.
That's a fool.
Yeah, I'm borrowing.
Yeah,
I'm using
that's
too much
good.
good-
That was
I'm using
great.
too much of your
Yeah,
stuff
that
right
was
now.
great.
But this year it's going to be a lot more travel. It's going to be a lot tougher in the second
Did
half.
you sign a deal with Golf Mart when I didn't know about?
Yeah,
Or?
just chew it and do
My
it.
lifelong
It'll be
dream.
Youngstown,
Bonta,
Ohio
the
this
golf
year.
guy.
Well,
Yeah.
Youngstown, Ohio this year because you got Cleveland, Minnesota
Willard, I
back
got
to back.
13
I
and
guess
4.
so.
So you go to
Yeah.
Ohio.
Yeah.
Everything
to the
you just
York
said, I
Conference.
put
There
it through
you
the
go.
Guru computer. I got 13 and 4.
I would take the under on that. That's asking
We
a
almost
lot.
made a bet today. 12.5 was the
I
number.
like 11.
I like 12.
I like 11.
I like 12.
Yeah.
I like 11 and 6.
I
but
like 11.
Boy, that 3-game stretch where you have to play
Yeah.
Seattle, Philadelphia, and in Seattle,
Again,
it's going to take
that's
a lot
man.
out of this football
Man.
team.
Yep.
Not to
Here's-
mention Jacksonville. Ooh, that schedule is
But you
tough.
guys know
Here's the-
this.
yeah.
Things happen. Like last year, heading into the year, you had no idea Jalen Hurts was going to take a quantum leap forward.
Sure.
We had no idea Kyler was going to go down in the second half of the season.
And Geno Smith, nobody saw
Exactly.
that coming as an MVP
Hey, wrote me
candidate.
off.
Exactly.
Well,
We didn't
back.
know Purdy would show up.
All right, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. Brock Purdy, what do you think it's going to look like this year?
Give me 25, 12, 3,500 yards and stay healthy. That'd be an amazing year. That'd be right up there with Jimmy G's 2019 year in terms of, efficiency and staying on the field. Because I think the number one question now is like, is it real? Can he sustain? Can he stay healthy? If he did what we think he can do, 25, 12, 3,500, they're probably winning 11, 12 games.
Stay healthy is the number one thing. I mean, I think if that happens, if he plays north of 15 games, I think it's going to be pretty hard to see the 49ers not in a pretty good spot. But what do you think? What are you expecting him to look like this year?
I don't know what the numbers look like, whether it's 30 touchdown passes, 25, 20. I don't know. He's not going to turn the ball over much. He showed that last year. Now, there were some Jimmy O-No throws mixed in, but the key number to me was 32 and a half. and that was the points per game they averaged with Brock Purdy under center.
Yep.
And that was with Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle. Remember, Debo missed a couple games. He missed the Raider game, missed the Commanders game, and they still were throwing up 37, 38 points. So can they average as an offense 30 points a game? And I think that's a good barometer to see where Purdy's at. If they're averaging close to 30 a game, that means Purdy is throwing close to 4,000 yards and close to 30 touchdowns or running in another 7 or whatnot. So I think he improves off of last year with these weapons.
What are your expectations?
I think you got to get closer to 4,000 yards. I mean, 3,500 yards is only 205 yards a game. To me, it's
You're winning
210
in the fourth quarter, and you're running the ball.
Right, but I
Joe
don't-
Montana averaged 220 for his career.
It's
How's the pizza, Joe?
You chew all
Okay.
talk. No, it's
Great.
fantastic. I'm sitting on a slice.
All right, what if we said
appreciate
this?
that.
What if we said this? Obviously,
all right.
obviously,
Rick
Trey
Pitino
Lance.
You
offense, too,
talk
Ruth.
all day. How about that?
Trey had 5 quarters, but outside of that, it was Jimmy Garoppolo and Brock Purdy last year, and it was a 13-4 team that felt like an offensive juggernaut at the end, right?
Yeah.
Combine Jimmy's passing yards and Brock's passing yards, and you get about 3,800.
Okay.
So I this whole like you got to get to 4,000. Again, Garoppolo's never done that in his career. I'm not expecting that. I don't think that needs to be a benchmark. They can be a high-powered offense, and he can be short of that number.
Okay, Mark, let me just do this because you could cook numbers to make them say whatever you want, okay?
Always.
And Kyle Harrison, do we expect him to strike out 11 at every game from here on out? No. A lot of times in sports, things come back to earth. The fact that Brock Purdy can say to anybody listening, I have not lost a game that I have started and finished. And, oh, by the way, 2 of those were against one of arguably the best defense with Dallas in the league. Like, that's heavy to me. So for the people still like, I got to see it, the fact that this dude is undefeated on any game that he's finished, that's heavy. That's insane. And to me, that means something.
Steiny, what do you think?
The one thing we haven't talked about, and people will get mad at this, but if you look at last year's schedule, the 49ers schedule, it was a joke. It was a joke. Look at, and I get it, you can only play the teams in your schedule. Chicago, Denver, okay, they own the Rams, Carolina, they lose to Atlanta, Kansas City. Then, when did Purdy come in? Chargers?
Miami.
Oh, Miami.
Chargers, not playoffs. Arizona.
Chargers did make the playoffs.
They did make the playoffs.
They lost to Jacksonville because they had a 30-point lead.
Oh, my God.
New Orleans, Miami, Tampa Bay,
Playoff team.
Seattle,
Playoff team.
and then here's how it finished with Purdy: Washington, Vegas, Arizona.
No, you're not wrong.
So
It's an easier schedule than they've got this year by far.
exactly,
Oh, my
that's all I'm
God.
saying. So factor that in when you're looking at a record that it isn't like it's a pretty good schedule.
What do you think he's going to look like?
I think he's going to look essentially the same, but the highs will be a little higher and the lows will be a little lower.
Huh.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, he's going to have more. He's going to have a few more big plays because he's going to feel a little more freedom. But I think he's going to make some mistakes and he's going to throw some interceptions that maybe would have been interceptions last year. And it's going to come down to when it happens, what game it happens in, and
What
how
time?
often it happens in that particular game.
Steiny, can I ask the $1 million question that everyone's thinking? Do we think Sam Darnold is going to play games this year?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Who said it, Coy?
I said I put the over/under at 2.5 starting quarterbacks for the team, and I think that there's legitimate money on the over. He shakes his head, but
We're
if
gonna
you
see
look,
Brendan
Yeah,
Allen?
that's too high, dude.
don't.
2.5.
I don't.
Then last year's going to repeat itself.
put it in the cap. I mean, I'm not trying to wish
Yeah.
injury on these guys, but
PTSD.
Brock Purdy's already had 3 injuries, 2 of which caused him to be limited. 1 knocked him out for 6 months. Sam Darnold, we know, has seen ghosts. So, are you expecting him to come in and just hit the ground running? I'm putting the over/under. If I put the over/under at 1.5 quarterbacks to start, we'd all take the over. That's I think.
I think Darnold will get a start or 2. I do. Not because of just performance. I think that just stuff happens in the Mahomes missed games.
Yeah.
17 games is a lot.
It is.
I would put the over/under at 2. If I put it at 2.5, you're all going under, and it would be heavily juiced.
Well, the other
to
thing is
under.
if they're 11-1 and they beat Philly, I guess, or 10-1, they beat Philly, and now all of a sudden they're 13-1. Maybe you start Darnold when you have home field clinched or something like that.
Yeah, that's possible too. I mean, how many teams last year in the NFL
think of that.
played 3 quarterbacks and removed the ones that did it by choice? You know what I mean? Like teams that are like cycling through.
Tua got hurt.
Miami, Arizona, though.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, they had injuries.
Well, Kyler got hurt.
Calamari got hurt.
and the other guy,
Baltimore.
Baltimore.
Sports team, lost
yeah,
quarterbacks.
I remember the kid who made the Pro Bowl.
The point is it's a hell of a lot more rare than not. It's a hell of a lot more rare than not. So the idea that the 49ers are going to need to do it again, if that happens again, then I don't even know what the conversation sounds like.
On the other side, Willard, I need to know, am I the only one worried about Jennifer Lee Chan's tweet about possible arm fatigue?
Well, what was that yesterday?
I know, it's scary.
Uh-oh.
It's scary for real.
What happened today?
That hadn't been reported yet. I hadn't heard.
What happened today?
No, yesterday. Yesterday he practiced at what 3/4 speed or whatever it was.
He's on a pitch count.
After a game.
He's on a pitch count.
Now that Trey's gone, he's mailing it in.
That's how I live my life.